Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we've got to talk about something incredibly heavy. We're looking at a breaking news event out of Janjgir that is frankly just devastating. We're going to unpack the Bhautara Village quadruple homicide. Now I know this isn't an easy topic, right? But understanding the realities of these cases and how law enforcement actually responds on the ground, it's absolutely crucial. So we're going to stick strictly to the facts, the immediate reports, and what we know right now. Let's just get straight into it.
4. Honestly, that's where we have to start. 4. It's a number that just immediately hits you with the sheer scale of this tragedy. 4 lives literally wiped out in a single night. You know, when we look at these crime reports, it is so easy to get bogged down in the procedural stuff, but we can't lose sight of the fact that an entire household was erased simultaneously. This wasn't just some targeted attack on one person. It was a massive, devastating sweep of violence that has completely shaken the entire region.
And to really grasp that impact, we have to talk about where this happened. We're talking about Bhautara Village, right under the Shivran police station area. By all accounts, this is a quiet place. It's a tight-knit community. The kind of place where an unimaginable late-night attack doesn't just make the local news, it completely shatters that basic sense of safety for everyone living there. I mean, the contrast between this peaceful village vibe and a horrific crime scene, it's incredibly stark. And honestly, it's exactly the nightmare scenario responding officers had to walk into.
So how did this actually unfold? Chronologically, it starts late at night. The family just went to sleep like any other night. But sometime during those dark, early morning hours, we don't have an exact time yet, the attack happened. And the reports coming in confirm that sharp weapons were used. The sheer silence of the night basically masked the whole thing until morning. It wasn't until the sun came up that a crowd started to gather as people realized what had happened. Obviously, police were notified immediately. And that brings us right to where we are now. A massive, highly active investigation is underway. Moving on to our next section. The victims, a family lost.
Look, it is absolutely vital that we step back from the raw timeline for a second. We need to look at who was actually lost here. Behind every single one of these breaking news alerts, there are real human beings, right? And understanding them really helps us grasp the weight of this. The victims here literally spanned generations. We've got Madani Kashyap, who is 70 years old, and his wife Shanti Bai. But the violence didn't stop with the grandparents. 2 young people were also killed in their sleep, Mungra, a 25-year-old granddaughter, and Pitik Yambar, a 17-year-old grandson. This wasn't just a loss of life, it was literally the erasure of multiple generations of one family, all under the same roof.
And what makes this even more heartbreaking, if that's even possible, is the actual dynamic of this household. Madani and Shanti Bai were the heads of the family, but look at who they were taking care of. Mungra was their daughter's daughter, and Pitambar was their younger son's son. So you have these grandparents providing a safe home for grandchildren from 2 totally different branches of the family tree. It really paints a picture of a household built on support and care, right? Which just makes the violation of that home feel so much more devastating.
Okay, let's look at the next part of this. The law enforcement response, securing the scene.
Whenever a crime of this magnitude happens, those first few hours literally dictate the entire investigation. The police here took incredibly rapid, methodical steps. First, the local cops immediately sealed off the house. You've got to stop any evidence contamination right off the bat. Step 2, they rapidly deployed an FSL, or Forensic Science Laboratory team, for the really specialized evidence collection. Then, and this is a crucial move, they brought in a dog squad right away to track any potential escape routes the attackers might have used. And finally, SB Navidi DePaul arrived on the scene to personally take charge of the whole thing. I mean, that level of immediate response really tells you just how severe the authorities are treating this.
But we have to remember, a police response like this isn't just about forensics, right? It impacts the entire community. The immediate aftermath meant a really heavy police presence, massive crowds gathering around, and just widespread questioning of the local residents. You can probably imagine the atmosphere in Bhautara Village, just total fear and confusion. The authorities were casting a massive net, basically talking to anyone and everyone nearby, desperately trying to find a lead, a witness, or frankly any sort of motive during those hypercritical early hours.
Which brings us to our final section, the investigation, motive, and suspects.
So once a scene is secure, the biggest question obviously becomes why? Why did this happen? We're going to look at what the police currently believe might have led to this. Now, to keep things strictly factual, we have to rely on the official statements. Here's what SP Navidi DePaul actually said. A suspect has been taken into custody for questioning. Some discussion of a dispute over ancestral property is coming to light, but the investigation is in its primary stages. It's super important we focus on that last part. The investigation is entirely in its primary stages. Law enforcement is following the evidence for sure,
but they are absolutely not rushing to any final conclusions yet.
Now, during her statement, the SP actually used the term Sandehi to describe this detained family member. And if you're not familiar, a Sandehi is basically a suspect. It's a person who is thought to be guilty of a crime, but, and this is key, they haven't been formally charged or proven guilty yet. It's a really vital legal distinction for us to make in this explainer. This family member is being questioned based on some preliminary leads, but as of right now, no formal guilt has been assigned.
And this perfectly captures how these investigations evolve in real time. Think about it. Initial public speculation was totally focused on maybe a random robbery or some sort of intense external rivalry. But the current police lead, it points to something so much more intimate and honestly, so much more tragic, an internal family dispute over ancestral property. That shift from fearing some random attacker in the night to investigating a dispute from within the family's own ranks, it just completely changes the entire complexion of this tragedy.
So, that leaves us with one, frankly haunting question. Will the forensic evidence, all that work by the FSL team, the dog squad, the interrogations, will it ultimately confirm that an unresolved dispute over ancestral property was actually enough to wipe out an entire family in their sleep? As the authorities in Janjgir continue doing their meticulous work, that is the deeply unsettling question sitting right at the heart of the Bhautara Village tragedy. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.